Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Nick and it's time for another one of these channel vlogs that we do every now and again. Sometimes I think about should I do more of them, let me know if you want them, but at the moment they seem to be once every couple of weeks. But this time I want to talk to you about the BBC licensing fee. Is it really relevant in today's modern world? Now, if you're from outside the UK, you might not have to subscribe to the BBC because it's pretty much compulsory here. But you might have some other similar stations that you have to pay a TV licensing fee too, so it's pretty relevant. Now, the British Broadcasting Corporation, or BBC Television, I quite like it on the whole. I watch it quite a lot. Mostly really BBC iPlayer, which is online. I look at various radio shows. I like a lot of the old ones. It'd be like Steptoe and Son, Just a Minute, which is going now. Museum of Curiosity, and there's a few like space documentaries I also like listening to. The Infinite Monkey Cage, if you're aware of that, hosted by Sir Brian Cox and some other person whose name I can't remember. So apologies to him, but he's equally as important. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, recently, when I went to go on to BBC iPlayer, it told me that I had to create a username and a login password, or there was a button where you could click it and say, do this later. Well, of course, you're going to click on do this later, really, aren't you? Not going to do it there. I kept doing it. Now, whether it's because I keep using it over and over again, more often the radio, it came a point where I had to actually put in a password and such. And I thought, why is this going on? This holds things up, but it didn't take really that long to do. And over Twitter, someone told me that the reason behind this was because of the licensing fee. The BBC want to have tougher regulation and make sure people that are watching the programmes online are people that have bought a TV licence. I think they check it against the postcode you put in, etc. It costs about £12 a month, the BBC licensing fee, but is it still relevant? I don't know how much of the market BBC have actually got at the moment, and basically, because they don't have any adverts, your licensing fee pays for all their programs, essentially. Now, is this an outdated model? A full subscription where other channels coming up have to have pay for subscriptions, which is fine. So if you want that service, you can pay for it. If you don't want that service, then obviously you don't have to pay for it. But the BBC, you're forced to pay for it no matter what. Now, I like it, but other people might not like it, and they might not never watch BBC, and they have to pay the license fee regardless. Now, just to argue if this is an outmoded concept, the BBC was first aired in November in 1936, the television, although there was a radio before then. I think the original licence for the radio came in 1904 and the TV licence 1936. Now, at that point, the only channel you can watch in the UK was BBC Television, as it was then, renamed to BBC One when BBC Two came out, and that was in 1964. So for about 30 odd years, all you could watch was the BBC. So if you bought a TV, no adverts, so yeah, pay for the TV licence. It makes sense, doesn't it? You pay for what you get. There's nothing else you can watch. You'd have to watch the BBC. A bit later, in the UK, ITV was launched. That was in 1955. So now you had 3 channels. So say, okay, well, BBC has still got... Actually, no. ITV 1955, BBC 1964. So there was 2 channels. BBC... I should do my research a bit better. BBC and ITV. Then BBC 2 come out, so you're getting a bit more for your buck. Channel 4, 1982, if you remember that. And Channel 5 in 1997. So there's a few channels there. So I think, is the BBC licence still worth it? I suppose so. Channel 5 was pretty rubbish back then. Now, how many channels are there now in the UK? Hundreds. There's pay-per-view, there's satellite, there's cable, there's YouTube, other hosting sites on the internet that you can watch for your television. So how can the BBC justify charging people, I think at the moment it's £12.12 for an actual subscription? Also there's Netflix and Amazon you can pay for. Now, when I was a kid with the BBC, they had a lot of sports programmes, so there's a lot of good content. There was full Premiership games, or Football Division 1 as it may have been called then, on the TV. They had the Formula 1 without adverts, which was great. But now, as other channels have risen, they've created money, a different business model with advertising. Sky, other channels, they've been able to outbid the BBC, and they're gradually losing all their sports. They've still got Wimbledon, but how long that's going to be, I don't really know. Now, is it fair? As I said, some people, maybe yourself included, don't even watch the BBC anymore. I do know in some other countries this sort of like subscription compulsory service has been abolished. Finland might be one of them, citation needed. But what do you think about that really? Should the UK do the same as those other countries and yeah, get with it and get more with the times? Now the BBC would have to change well, a lot. For example, if they had no money coming in from licence fee payers, then obviously they'd have to start to adverts. Now some people might say that might destroy the channel or make it not what it is, but you know, it's modern day times and you got to move with it. Or they could say, people like myself who still wants the BBC, that's fair enough, then you should pay a subscription. Everyone else don't pay a subscription who's not watching the BBC. Maybe you can put in a code and it scrambles it, something like that. Now, I'm a bit of a hypocrite really, because although I would pay £12 for all the BBC's content, if there was less money going into the coffers, so that to raise it for the people that were watching, and they said it was £50 a month, I'd say go take a hike, bozo. Because although I like the programmes, I'm not paying 50 quid. So what do you think about it? Should the BBC be held precious? Should they be protected? The only channel in the country that should have this false pay for service? Or should it be scrapped entirely and they're left to sink or swim? Interesting. So let me know what you think about that one. Yes. Another thing I can quickly tag on to the end of this, which I don't really want to do a separate log about this, is about Nintendo really. Occasionally, well quite a lot, people would suggest sort of games I should review. If I can get hold of them, then I might very well do. But I have to be a little bit careful, in particular with Nintendo games. Now, because the channel's monetized, it comes under slightly bit more scrutiny. In particular, if I review a game that's by Nintendo, someone recommended on the Game Boy Advance I have a look at Metroid Fusion, which I would have done. It's a really, really good game. But if I monetize it, I'm running the gauntlet. There's a chance that Nintendo might claim that and put their adverts around it there, or I might get a strike. Or nothing might happen at all, and it's not really worth the risk. With so many games to review, if Nintendo are going to be that up themselves about it, then I'd rather not give them any airtime. So it's a bit of a pity really, because Metroid Fusion is a pretty good game, but as I say, I think the channel's going in the right direction now, and I don't want to take the risk of running into that sort of thing. There's a problem with cutscenes where sometimes I have to edit them down, where you might see on other people's videos they haven't edited them down or darkened them and they're running the gauntlet, and they might very well be okay, but as I say, I don't want the hassle of it. So anyway, that's tagged on to the end, but just let me know, BBC licence fee, should it stay the same? Should it be scrapped? What do you think? And I look forward to looking? Yeah, I have to look first of all. I look forward to looking and reading your comments below if you've actually got any. So thanks for watching the channel as always. If you've got any comments about this, as I say, then please make yourself known. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.